Good evening, welcome to Last Bell Boxing. This show is going to be around Anthony Joshua, his next fight, and his training situation at the minute. You'll all know that I love AJ, so this one's quite happy for me to cover. So, Chris, first up then. So, next fight, how it goes, and what do you think? What do you think about his training, his coaching situation?
Yeah, that's probably the intriguing bit. I think everybody knows the answer to the first question, isn't it? Who's his next fight? It's going to be Alexander Usyk again. Yeah. Rematch. A fight that wasn't even close first time around. Rematch, quite intriguing, but I think for me it is far, far too quick in terms of the turnaround. The gap in boxing, the gap in ring IQ, the gap in, just timing. Usyk has so much over AJ. I just cannot see how within a 4 to 5 month spell AJ can actually change that around. Bringing a new trainer, it's not going to do anything, because you bring in a trainer, the minute you start getting tired, you'll revert back to type. And I'm a big believer in that. We've all been in the ring ourselves. We've all had a fight. You know exactly what happens when you get stung. You go into this different mindset, or you just go back and you revert back into type. So, for me, there's not enough time to change anything. So regardless of who they put in place, I think that the result's going to be the same. What does he need to do different? I think he needs to stop thinking when he's in the ring with Usyk and actually start throwing punches. The biggest thing that we've always looked at with AJ is he's almost like he wants to be looked upon as having really, really smart ring smarts. He wants to be looked upon almost like people looked at Lennox Lewis. So he's a chess player. He's really intelligent. He can work styles out and then implement a game plan. He has done that to a certain degree. He did it in Andy Ruiz rematch, for example. But he's not facing an Andy Ruiz, someone that's as good as Usyk. Usyk will be able to work out, I think, personally, whatever Anthony Joshua does quite quickly and still be able to toy with him. And I think for me, what AJ's got to do is he's got to try and work the body, slow him down. We've seen Chisora try it against Usyk, and it worked to a certain degree. And I think that we've got to see AJ opening his hands up. Interesting videos of him wrestling recently appeared on YouTube as he tries to maybe get more of a physical presence in the ring, because he can hit hard, we all know that. But does he know how to hold? He's kind of like Frank Bruno. Remember years ago, Bruno got tagged by Jumbo Cummins, a guy, and he just throws. Anthony Joshua reminds me of that. And I remember shouting out to my missus when we were watching him against Klitschko and he got stung in the 6th round. Oh my God, he's Frank Bruno. I just think that AJ can do not a great deal in the time. I still, and even though we've all got a great knowledge of the game, I still cannot think of a trainer that can really bring AJ through and change him, quickly. I don't think Reynoso's the right man for him. I can't see him working well with an Arden Booth or Ben Davidson. I really struggle when I think about who could work with AJ, and I just hope he doesn't turn around and make some silly decision and put in place a yes man. If we all think of what Tyson said at the end of his career, he brought in people like Rich Cicchetti because he'd worked with Larry Holmes, didn't do anything for him other than cheerleading. So he's got to be very, very careful at what he does. But for me, I think when he does fight Usyk, it's going to be pretty much the same. Pretty much a clear decision for Usyk. Maybe the difference is this time around, does Usyk actually frustrate him so much that he stops him? Or does Joshua mentally go into the ring, see the same thing happening again, freeze, and just go into defensive mode? And that's probably the two ways that I can see the fight panning out. A defensive Joshua getting beaten on points, or Usyk actually stepping up and going through the gears and stopping Joshua.
Okay. Andy, over to you. So give us your thoughts on the fight and, who you think is coaching regime, etc. like that.
So is 4 months long enough for AJ to have a new coach? It would have been if he'd gone straight to another coach and settled down straight away and that's it. Right, I've got a new coach and I'm staying with him and I'm not moving from America or wherever his new coaches will be. I'm not coming back to England. I'm getting my head down and I'm staying in the gym for 4 months. And this is going to be my game plan. Has he done that? No. What he's done is he's pounced himself around America to every single gym, taking loads of Instagram photos, rapping every 2 minutes that he gets the chance. What that's doing for him, I really don't know. Getting himself out in the public eye, again, that's doing nothing for his boxing. In my opinion, this will not only be his next fight, but it'll be his last. Simple.
Job done.
Point. That could well be. That could well be, because where does he go next? You know, his reputation wouldn't be in tatters, but it'd be very, very long for him to come back. You know, and I think he would be completely blocked out the heavyweight title. The
thing is, Chris, that he's built himself up to, and you've got to give him respect for this. Along with Eddie Hearn, they've had a fantastic plan, and they've turned him into the perfect marketing boxer. He says all the right things. He does all the right things. He smiles at the right places. He goes on all of these shows and looks fantastic, and he talks really well. You can't knock him for that. So he's got himself into a position now where he sells out stadiums without even having to think about it. Within hours, he still, he could fight. Every single fight could be Wembley Stadium without even thinking about it. And that's a problem, because if and when he does get beat again, which I think he does, where does he go?
Yeah.
The only real fight that then gives him that stadium buzz again would be Fury, and if he's lost his belt this time, Fury's. Well, why would Fury even entertain fighting him? What
about a rematch against Dillian White? After he'd been smashed by Fury.
Yeah, that could sell. But that'd be just chasing another payday, and he don't really need that. Does he really need
that in the arena, though, doesn't it?
Does he? But the thing is, if he gets beat this time, if his confidence isn't 100% shot now, it definitely will be.
See, I'll be amazed.
Does he really go into a Dillian White fight? With his confidence completely shot.
He beats White if he hasn't got confidence every day of the week. He's a level above White.
He is a level above White, but I tell you something, even if it would be his last fight, I think he leaves the sport in a better place than when he came in.
Yeah, I agree there. He's done a lot.
He's got marketing back into boxing, hasn't he? He's got sponsorship back into boxing, because before I'm
sure he didn't come into boxing to help the commercial side of the game, though, did he?
No, he didn't, but he also leaves behind a decent legacy. 2-time world champion against a guy who, when he came through, a lot of people thought he was very lucky to win the Olympic gold medal. He came through with limited experience. We've watched him grow, and he does leave the sport in with a strong legacy, and probably he's achieved more than we ever thought he would do.
The only chance he's got in this fight is if he big mans Usyk. So I want to see him doing the dirty things in that ring, leaning on him.
Who's the coach for that, then, Cole? Who's the coach that does that? It gets him into that mindset.
I'm not, to be honest with you, it's probably not Rob McCracken, but I'm just saying that's the only way I see he's got a cat in hell's chance. Leaning on him, keeping him at range. These are all things everyone knows that he should be doing, but I just don't think he's good enough to pull it off. I'll tell you what, when you see the difference, if Tyson Fury ever gets hold of Usyk, you'll see how it should be done.
Yeah. But here's the thing then, as we talk about the fight, looking at that, what would you bring him in at? Would you bring him in heavy, or would you bring him in light so he can box on his toes?
No, it's not good enough to come in light, Chris. It's not good enough. I'd bring you in heavy. And like I've said, I'll be doing all the dark arts of boxing. Because really, a good big one should beat a good little one.
They always say that, isn't it? And
he's not a good big one. That's the problem.
But he's tried the light approach, Andy Hunter. He's tried that.
I agree with you, Cole. He shouldn't come in light. Here's the thing, right? It's very simple. Everyone's said, and we're all looking at Joshua as an absolute animal at heavyweight when he was aggressive, and he was putting it on fighters. He hasn't got that. This is where the mindset thing comes in. He needs somebody that can change his mentality about being scared about putting it on somebody, because that's there's no two ways about it. That's why he's not been putting it on people.
See, this is controversial, but I would have took Sugar Hill up on his option. I would have done. I would have gone to Sugar Hill because he's changed Tyson from being a back foot fighter or whatever. Kronk Jim is to knock him out, seek and destroy. He should have gone to.
He's been around there before. He's been around Emmanuel Stewart, though. But AJ, ever since the Klitschko fight, has been working on defence, hasn't he? Not getting hit. They've taken him too far the other way. And I think if they gamble on his weight and bring him in heavy, he's got 6 rounds to do something.
That's what I was about to say, Chris.
Yeah.
And it's a 6-round fight for me.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get Usyk out in 6 rounds, then he's lost. Because
we've seen him before, gassing almost.
Especially if it comes in heavy, it'll be finished. He'll have nothing left. He'll be gassed.
Yeah.
But it was gassing light, wasn't it? It was gassing light, so you may as well come in heavy and have a shootout.
I have to disagree with Chris a little bit and say that he boxed really well against Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't box well against Ruiz. All he did was jab and run for the whole fight.
I never said box. I said it was a disciplined performance where he never took off his concentration.
Fair enough, right? But we're talking about somebody that spent the 6 months between fights eating burgers and Snickers.
He did. He Roberto Durand him against Sugar Ray,
yeah.
didn't he? Totally. Like, let's get this fat guy back in the ring as quickly as possible, and all that he's going to be doing is try to take some weight off.
AJ needs someone in that corner like Sugar Hill. If you see against Deontay Wilder, Sugar Hill was doing his nut one late in that fight. Doing his nut at Fury. AJ ain't got that in the corner, has he? He's got McCracken who whispers in his ear and we don't know what he's saying. Someone needs to be able to read him the right at who he's going to listen to. Now, whether it's the old silk pyjamas scenario, it could well be because he's made a lot of money. Because has Younger gone?
Part of the problem for AJ is there's too many people around him all the time. Yeah, even in camp, even in training, he's got his cheerleading mates with him up in Sheffield because he don't want to be up there by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's serious, if he's really serious about winning his belts back, he needs to go to America by himself.
He does, and that's a really good point. He needs to get rid of all that because there was an interesting tale when Steve Bunce was talking about him after the Ruiz fight. There's 25 people in his dressing room, like all in the kind of 258 management t-shirts and things like that. He's got a massive payroll, but he's almost getting to the point like Tyson. He's got someone getting paid $25,000 a year to carry a water bottle and stuff like that, isn't it? It's absolutely
Tyson Fury don't wear that though, does he? He's got a very close circle.
He doesn't at all. It's him and at the moment you see kicking around Morecambe, him and Joseph Parker, and that's it. They've got maybe 3 or 4 other guys who are close to them. But he doesn't. Tyson Fury doesn't need that. AJ almost needs that to kind of bring his self-esteem back up and his ego up, doesn't he? And when you see what he was and where he's come from, he probably didn't start out that way.
No,
that's his comfort zone, isn't it? When he's got all his mates around him.
Yeah,
but he can't be about comfort zone anymore.
You can't take them in the ring with him.
But interesting point, Andy, about it being his last fight. I'd not really thought about that, but now that you've said it, I can see exactly where you're coming from on that.
Interesting. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for Anthony Joshua. And I think there will definitely be an announcement around his coaching team this week. I definitely do. Cheers, guys. Okay. As ever, live on Thursday, 7 p.m. Come and join us. Thank you.